actually start like 2 minutes early, which is rare for us because everyone is here and Zoom's all set up and we're ready to go. This is our second special meeting this week of the City Council. And I'm going to start by just turning the time. Do we need to wait to approve this meeting?
I think we should.
Okay, we'll wait. Anyone wants to? As soon as we're 15 minutes and we'll start. I didn't take it long. I don't know how I feel that long. Turned out for today. Brian tells me it's 3:15, so I'm trusting him. David gave me thumbs up. So we're going to start this meeting by just turning the time over to our city manager.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Let me address why we are here. And I'll just ask quickly for those who are in attendance today, can you hear me in the back okay? Sound level good? Wonderful. The state statutes that regulate the procedures for filling a municipal vacancy are vague. We've identified several potential outcomes for which no solid direction is given. Perhaps this experience can serve as a catalyst to clarify those statutes and prevent this from happening in the future. Regardless of the vagueness of the statute, we have a duty to correct known procedural errors. We identified at least 2 of those errors yesterday, but it could be argued that others occur as well. We are meeting today to provide an opportunity to correct the procedural errors. In my opinion, to ignore or try to hide the fact that Monday's process was flawed is unacceptable. During Monday's interviews with the applicants, integrity was mentioned several times. I believe this issue is not only about our integrity as an organization, but also about the integrity of our elections and the democratic process in general. So let's do the right thing, as uncomfortable as it may be, by following the statutes as closely as possible. It is possible, and we acknowledge that when our meeting is over today, the end result may be the same as it was on Monday. There is also a chance that the outcome may change. We apologize for the inconvenience this has caused, and we thank Mr. Erickson, Mr. Curtis, and Mrs. Larson for returning today. In trying to decide which part of the process we need to redo, we have determined to roll it back to the point where we can first identify a deviation from the statute. If you recall, Council, a first vote was held that resulted in a 2-1-1 outcome. Councilmember MacArthur voted for Rick Erickson. Councilmembers Larkin and Smethurst voted for Vardell Curtis. Councilmember Hughes voted for Natalie Larson. Ms. Fernandez, can you confirm that I've correctly stated those facts and that the record reflects that?
Yes.
So we have a valid first vote, and this is the point where we need to resume our deliberations. Let me now read from Utah Code 28-1-510, Section 1, Paragraph C, Roman numeral 2. I will read it verbatim. The 2 individuals having the highest number of votes, again, the 2 individuals having the highest number of votes of the municipal legislative body after a first vote is taken shall appear before the municipal legislative body, and the municipal legislative body shall vote again. At this point, with a 2-1-1 vote, we only have one clear highest vote getter. I'm going to say that a lot, highest vote getter, because it is the language used in the statute. So right now we have one clear highest vote getter, that is Mr. Curtis. And the statute clearly states that we need two highest vote getters to move on to a final deciding vote. Unfortunately, the statute is silent on how we break the 1-to-1 tie between Mr. Erickson and Mrs. Larson. On Monday, we knew we needed to narrow the field to two final candidates, two highest vote getters. So we attempted to resolve this by asking the council to vote again between Mr. Curtis, Mr. Erickson, and Mrs. Larson, which you did, council, and which resulted in the same exact 2-to-1 outcome as before. What we should have done, and what we are doing now, is recognizing Mr. Curtis as one of the top two highest vote getters and advancing him to the final deciding vote. Now, we need to resolve the remaining 1-to-1 tie between Mrs. Larson and Mr. Erickson. On Monday, we handled it with a coin flip. However, the utilization of a game of chance is not contemplated by the statute at this point. That only comes later with the final deciding vote between the two highest vote getters. So instead of the coin flip, we will now ask the 4 voting members of the legislative body, Council Members Larkin, MacArthur, Hughes, and Smethurst, to vote again between Mr. Erickson and Mrs. Larson only. The point of this vote is to identify the second highest vote getter to be considered in the final deciding round against Mr. Curtis. Is that clear? Okay. If this vote ends in a 2-to-2 tie between Mr. Erickson and Mrs. Larson, the mayor will then exercise her right, her statutory right, to break the tie as set forth in Utah Code 10-3B-302, and the winner will move forward to the final deciding vote. I will also note that the statute requires the 2 highest vote getters to appear before the council before the final deciding vote, which we interpret to mean must be present to win. So please, nobody go anywhere. The council will now vote. Ms. Fernandez, if you'd like to instruct the council how we're going to handle this.
You should have 2 ballots in front of you with your name on it, and that's blank. Ballot 1 is blue, so you'll fill that out and vote for the person you want to go on to the next round. Between Natalie Larson and Rick Erickson.
So I want to ask a question. I'm sorry. Are we 100% sure that this is the proper way to do this?
At this point, narrowing it down to the 2 top vote getters, this is the only way we can determine that, is to take a vote.
Students. Yeah, sorry. I'm kind of just like followed up. Okay, I'll read these now. Councilmember MacArthur votes for M. Rick Erickson. Councilmember Smethurst votes for Natalie Larson. Councilmember Larkin votes for Natalie Larson. And Councilmember Hughes votes for Natalie Larson. Council, did I get your votes correctly?
Okay, council, now that we have reduced the field to the 2 highest vote getters as required by statute, it's time for the final deciding vote. I will read Utah Code 20A-1-510, Section 1, Paragraph C, Roman numeral 3. If neither candidate receives a majority vote of the municipal legislative body at that time, meaning now, the final deciding vote, the vacancy shall be filled by lot. there's our game of chance, which we've determined to be a coin flip in the presence of the municipal legislative body. Again, this vote will be made by council members Larkin, MacArthur, Hughes, and Smethurst. If this vote between Mr. Curtis, and I've got a blank here, and Mrs. Larson results in a 2-2 tie, the mayor shall again exercise her right to break the tie, and the winner will fill the remaining term of the vacant council seat created by Michelle Randall's selection to the office of mayor. For clarification, a majority vote of the current members of the municipal legislative body is 3 or more. So one more time, if neither candidate receives a majority vote, meaning 3 or more of the municipal legislative body right now in this final deciding vote, the vacancy shall be filled by lot, which we've determined to be a coin flip. So the council will now vote again between Mr. Curtis and Mrs. Larson.
Okay, Councilmember Larkin votes for Vardell Curtis. Councilmember Smethurst votes for Vardell Curtis. Councilmember MacArthur votes for Vardell Curtis. And Councilmember Hughes votes for Natalie Larson. Did I get your votes correct? Thank you.
Now, council, we would ask that there be a motion and a second and a formal vote that reflects the results as they were just read by the city reporter, and then that decision will be final.
I'll make a motion to is it approve or so exactly what the language is. Appoint Vardell Curtis for the position of city council to fill Mayor Randall's remaining term.
Motion by Greg, seconded by Brian. All in favor, starting with Greg, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. So Vardell will fulfill the remainder of my term, which is January 2022. Any other comments you have, Adam or Sean? Okay, this wasn't an easy process for us all. We regret that it had to be done twice, but we needed to follow the statute, and I believe we did that now, and so now we can move on as a whole council and go to work. And on motion to adjourn this meeting. Danielle, motion by Danielle, second by Greg, all in favor, say aye.